You are listening to part 2 of episode 39 of the Psychotherapist Podcast. In this second part of the episode, Sir Bobbert and I discuss social anxiety. We also discuss precognitive strategies for when you're about to deal with a big reveal moment in your life. We also discuss intellectual laziness and the reverse conspiracy pyramid. And we also discuss Antifa-armed, child-friendly drag shows in Texas. Good times, great times, all that and more on the Psychotherapist Podcast.
Getting back to this assessment, I'm not going to belabor this because basically you saw it, and was there anything that jumped out at you where you said to yourself, I think I could be doing a little bit better in that area? I mean, something like going to parties. I think you've made great strides in that area.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, one, it's not like I get invited to a lot of parties, yeah. You know what I mean? And I had been so, like, center-focused, I guess you could say, for the last, year, that it's not even really been on my mind that much.
And the law school stuff. I would include, going out with work, working partners to the bar after work in that category also.
Yeah, I had been, I guess there were a few opportunities, but I just wanted to, study, basically. So now that that's out of the way, the next time I can go.
Okay. Is that something you think you need a little bit of a push to do more of?
Probably. I don't know. The thing is, I still have, my main focus, even though I've gone the LSATs and stuff out of the way, I still need to wrap up my law school applications, and then I can kind of just think about other things.
So you still have to maintain your focus?
Yeah, just shouldn't be much longer, but still have to wrap up some final details and get some applications in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to we'll talk more about this after I have a chance to go through it, and I'll do some of the scoring, but there's nothing super problematic, from looking at it from my point of view. It's more importantly, from your point of view, are there certain aspects of the social anxiety that you think you still need to work on?
Could you give me an example?
Yeah, because every one of these categories, they were all below, the very much extremely. They were all the closest. Your marking was somewhat, so meaning it happened once in a while. So let's just take, trembling or shaking in front of others is distressing to you.
So that one doesn't really happen to me, but I know that if it did, it would bother me.
Okay.
If my hands were shaking, I would just be thinking, everyone's noticing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that ties into another item which says, you're afraid of doing things when people might be watching.
I mean, didn't I say just a little on that?
Just a little, yeah. It was no big item at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess if I'm just, there's people in the room, I'm a little more self-conscious of I don't know, just making sure I'm doing a good job or whatever.
Yeah, that's the more important way to approach it, is how much are you, aware of it, self-conscious?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes in the room, do you suddenly, does an internal signal go off that says, oh shit, one of the supervisors is here or something, and then you become consciously aware of it and,
Yeah, I mean, I would say in instances when I was in Michigan and my boss came into the room, it's not like I was just sleeping on the job or whatever, but I would make sure I wasn't slouching in my chair, let's put it that way.
Good idea.
Just sitting up straight, just little things.
Right. Would you say you basically learned through the course of time the sort of ways you need to behave in the workplace?
I don't think I really need to learn a whole lot. It's not like I've ever had, gotten to a lot of trouble or anything.
Right, and you note that I'm following along the lines of you saying, to sit up, you're going to sit up straight and look like you're paying attention, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're well aware of all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. because if you move into the professional realm, it's going to be more of an issue in general.
How so?
I mean, that, you need to, at least when you start out, and need to, look polished and focused. Focus is the main thing, and look like you're interested.
Yeah. I mean, I've always gotten feedback from professors and teachers that I generally look like I'm paying attention, so
yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
Well, I think let's this discussion go till next time. I'll pick up on a few things and see if it's worth going over, okay?
All right, cool.
I wanted to ask you today about your social life anyway. I said to myself that you've been looking at my notes. It's really been a long time since you've been single focused on this LSAT and getting it done. And it happened at a time when you were out of town in another state working on that trial too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible. You had two big things going on at the same time. You pulled it off.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, though, like, really, towards the end, I just had the one thing, because I got to take time off the trial and work and stuff, so, yeah.
Okay.
But I got my score, and no way in fucking hell I'm taking it again.
Yeah. And it came in the form of an email?
I got an email just saying, here's a link to your score. That's all.
And what was the initial feeling?
Just stealing myself as I hovered over the link without clicking on it. Just kind of mentally priming myself to withstand the worst should it happen.
That's
I guess.
Interesting. So you didn't couldn't wait to jump in. You gave yourself a little.
I just needed a moment to be like, you might get a 155 and you're just going to have to live with that.
Excellent.
So
it's an excellent strategy, to sort of prepare yourself in a cognitive way that, hey, I'm hoping for this and this is what I want, but if there's a chance it goes the other way, hey.
Yeah.
I've got options.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was very relieved to see my score, so...
Okay, then technically the next step in this process is what?
Applying to specific law schools.
Okay.
Yeah. So from what I've heard, they're pretty cheap over there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but she's got her good job and big salary and whatever, but of course, it's getting taxed out of existence. So, I mean, that's the funniest thing I hear about people who, like, I hear their salary and I'm like, whoa, and then they're like, the taxes.
Yeah.
Because the higher you go, the more they take.
Kill you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, having this obstacle out of your way is huge. The first step, seems to have been the most difficult to get through.
Yeah, and I mean, it was also the most important one, too, the LSAT, so, yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that we as a society rely so heavily on a single thing like a test score,
I think we're just lazy. I think we're just become, over time, more and more intellectually lazy.
Yep.
That's kind of why, like politically, for example, if there was a hierarchy of right-wing conspiracy nutjob stuff, it was like a reverse pyramid that they kind of came up with, where it's like the bottom layer stuff that actually happened, like, I don't know, the moon landing or whatever, and then it's like stuff that might have happened, and then once you get to the top, it's not that just you're in wacky land, you're also like a fascist white supremacist or whatever, and some of the items there, like believing in flat earth, really, that makes me a neo-Nazi.
Right.
I just do not see the connection there between thinking the earth is flat and thinking white people are just the best, It's a very tortured logical connection to me, but it's intellectually lazy, They can just say, I saw this was a great clip, and maybe I should send it to you later, is Steven Crowder infiltrated a quote-unquote kid-friendly drag show somewhere in a Texas suburb, And there were just people like very nasty and hostile, and like one of them came over to like the counter protester side, and after talking back and forth a little, he said, you want me all dead, you want to kill everyone like me, or like whatever. And like people are like, no. What are you talking about, you psycho? But yeah, have you heard anything about kids drag shows? Because to me it's just a total obvious decline of civilization signal.
Well, I haven't heard much about it, but I don't think there is much to it, other than some of the more radical gay and lesbian LGBTQ groups, who firmly believe in that, and may have adopted children or whatever, and want them, to maybe move in a certain direction, sexual preference. Might be pushing the envelope a little bit. And in my personal life, I've seen that with some colleagues, because there's been some strife, and are we doing the right thing with our kid, and I've consulted on a couple of those. I'm not an expert in that at all, but I just go by what I learned in terms of psychological development.
Mm-hmm.
Your kid, there's no way, your kid can make that decision at this age.
Yeah, to me, it's just so, excuse me, I had a burp, obviously ludicrous to just, it's really messed up, though, because there's actually, I do think there's LGBTQ elements, like you said, that are all aboard for just, let's say, taking the idea of tolerance to an extreme literal, where we'll just accept anything.
Yep.
But there's also a counter movement out of that group. Like there's a specific like gays against groomers, group, because once, that extreme of like child drag shows and trying to force gender changes on little kids and stuff, they're like, you're just proving all those right-wing conspiracy nut jobs who said you can't let us get married or this will happen, you're just proving them right, dude. So cut the shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I keep thinking, this stuff is, so much of what's going on is reminiscent of to me, of the late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the issue of, having sexual encounters with younger people was a hot topic. And there were a lot of priests. There was a priest in the Boston area, I can't think of his name now, really popular guy, and I'd done some work with him, and he was really cool. Did a lot of drug work and stuff like that when we did the drug bans.
Mm-hmm.
But, he was so, extremely popular, and he was in favor of this group called Mambla, man and something else, but it basically was a man-child sort of advocating for that this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, people just had him on a throne. He could do no wrong. And a few years back, he was just castrated, basically, when they dug up a lot of stuff that he had done, and revisited his whole experience.
Yeah.
People who had experienced him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a scathing, series of articles. It was like, let's take a look at a different lens. Look at this through a different lens.
Yeah.
But now some of the same issues are surfacing again.
Yeah, man. It's just really sort of bizarre and unsettling stuff, but I don't know what you can do about it. Can I just pause this tape just for
anytime you want.
Just for editing purposes?